On a late afternoon in the heart of Brookdale, where gleaming skyscrapers towered over pristine sidewalks lined with high-end boutiques, 17-year-old Darius Coleman stood in front of a store he had only dared to admire from afar. Langston Va Company. Fine Joyeuse. The polished gold lettering on the window shimmered in the sun, as did the rows of diamond rings, luxury watches, and delicate bracelets displayed behind the immaculate glass. Darius took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his savings tucked into his jacket pocket. Today was special. His little sister, Hannah, was turning 14. She had been his rock, his cheerleader, his best friend since the day she was born. For months, Darius had worked double shifts after school at Carter's Beanery, wiping down tables and memorizing complicated coffee orders to earn enough tips to buy her something she could treasure. A silver charm bracelet she had once admired, simple yet elegant, perfect for someone like her. Now, standing at the door of Langston Va Company, Darius smiled, imagining the joy on her face when she opened the box. He pulled the door open, the soft chime of a bell signaling his entrance. Inside, everything gleamed. Soft music played in the background, and the faint scent of expensive perfume hung in the air. For a moment, Darius felt proud. He had made it this far. But as the door swung shut behind him, that sense of pride was swiftly replaced by a chill that had nothing to do with the store's air conditioning. Behind the counter stood Beatrice Langston, the store manager and part owner. A woman in her mid-50s, her sleek blonde bob framed a face that rarely smiled unless the customer was wearing a Rolex. Her sharp gray eyes locked onto Darius, sweeping over his unzipped hoodie, faded jeans, and scuffed sneakers. In her gaze was a calculation, not curiosity, a weighing of whether his presence was acceptable in her world. For a few moments, Darius tried to ignore it. He walked confidently toward the glass display case where the bracelet rested on a velvet cushion, his heart pounding in anticipation. But he could feel her stare intensifying, drilling into the back of his neck. "Can I help you?" Beatrice asked. The words were polite, but her tone was clipped, cool. Darius smiled politely. "Yes, ma'am. I'd like to see that bracelet, please," he said, pointing toward the silver piece. Beatrice's lips pursed slightly. "That's one of our finer items," she said. "Are you sure you're interested in this one?" The question wasn't about the bracelet. It was about him. Darius recognized it instantly. The insinuation that he didn't belong, that he couldn't afford what he was asking about. He had seen that look before, the one that asked, "What are you doing here?" But he kept his voice steady. "Yes, ma'am. I've saved for it," he said calmly. Slowly, deliberately, he took out his wallet and opened it, showing the neatly stacked bills inside, money he had worked hard to earn. "I'd like to buy it for my sister." For a brief moment, Beatrice's expression didn't change. Then she offered a small, tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Where exactly did you get this money?" she asked. Her tone was light, but each word was as sharp as broken glass. Darius's jaw tightened, but he didn't let his anger show. "I work at Carter's Beanery. I've been saving for months." She nodded slowly, but the disbelief in her expression was clear. "Carter's Beanery," she repeated. "I see." Her gaze swept back to the money as if it were tainted. Beatrice glanced toward one of the younger employees behind the counter, a woman named Emily Rowe, who shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. Beatrice didn't need her to. She was already making a decision. Her fingers hovered near the store's phone. Darius noticed. A sense of dread crept over him. He knew what was coming. Beatrice sighed, as if giving in to something distasteful. She reached into the case and slowly set the bracelet on the counter. "Be careful," she warned, as if Darius might damage it by breathing too hard. That costs more than a few weeks' wages at a coffee shop. The bracelet sparkled under the lights, even more beautiful than Darius had remembered. He picked it up carefully, his fingers trembling slightly, not from nerves, but from the weight of everything unsaid in the room. And then it happened. The bracelet slipped. It clattered softly onto the glass counter, then bounced to the floor. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the quiet store. Darius froze. Beatrice didn't. "I knew it," she shrieked, pointing a trembling finger at him. "He's trying to steal it." Her voice sliced through the air, sharp and cold, sending shock waves through the store. Heads turned. A woman in a silk scarf grabbed her purse. An older couple backed away. In an instant, Darius went from customer to criminal in their eyes. "No, I wasn't," he started, but it was too late. Beatrice grabbed the phone and dialed. "Yes, I need the police," she said, her voice growing louder. "We got a thief. Young black male, hoodie, try to run." Darius wasn't running. He wasn't moving. But her words painted a picture no one questioned. He heard the sirens long before they arrived. 2 officers pushed through the door minutes later. Sergeant Vincent Hale, a stocky, middle-aged man with thinning hair and cold eyes, took one look at Darius and made up his mind. "Hands up," Hale barked. Darius complied, raising his hands slowly. "I didn't do anything," he said, his voice even. Hale didn't care. He stepped forward, handcuffs already out. Beside him was Officer Lucas Warren, younger, his expression less certain. His gaze darted between Darius, Beatrice, and the bracelet on the floor. For a moment, he hesitated. Beatrice pressed on. "He dropped it when I caught him trying to stuff it into his pocket," she said, her voice quivering with fake fear. He was going to run. Darius's heart raced. This wasn't happening. But it was. He took a deep breath, his voice steady. "I didn't take anything. I was buying it for my sister." Hale was unmoved. "Turn around." But before Darius could move, he pulled out his phone. Slowly, carefully, and made a call. "Dad," he said, "I need you at Langston's. Now." For a second, Hale's grip on the cuffs tightened. Then the glass door swung open again. A man strode in. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a navy polo and dark jeans. His walk was calm, but his presence filled the room. Commander Malcolm Coleman, Darius's father. Retired Navy SEAL. Not a man who needed to raise his voice to be obeyed. "I suggest you stop," Malcolm said quietly. The room froze. Hale turned, recognition flashing in his eyes. Warren straightened instantly. Beatrice paled. Malcolm's eyes scanned the scene. Darius, hands raised. The bracelet on the floor. Hale with cuffs. His jaw tightened. "Sergeant Hale," Malcolm said, his voice calm but deadly. "Are you arresting my son without evidence?" "We received a call." "From her." Malcolm cut him off, nodding toward Beatrice. "And you believed her without checking the facts?" Beatrice tried to regain control. "I saw him." "You saw him drop a bracelet," Malcolm corrected. "On camera." For a moment, no one spoke. Warren finally cleared his throat. "We should review the footage." Malcolm nodded. "Yes, you should." It didn't take long. The video told the truth. Darius entered, spoke politely, took out his money, reached for the bracelet, dropped it. Nothing more. Hale clenched his jaw. Beatrice was silent. Malcolm turned to her. "Why did you call the police, MS?" "Langston." Beatrice flinched. You thought a black boy with cash didn't belong here." Malcolm finished for her. Darius lowered his hands. He met Beatrice's gaze, but said nothing. He didn't need to. Malcolm spoke again, his voice still low, but carrying the weight of command. "This isn't over." And it wasn't. Within hours, Hale was suspended pending an internal review. Beatrice was placed on indefinite leave by the Langston family, who were furious at the damage to their brand. Malcolm made calls. People listened. Because they had to. 3 days later, Darius stood at home, holding a small box. He knocked on his sister's door. "Come Hannah called. Darius walked in, handing her the gift. She tore it open, eyes wide as she saw the bracelet. "It's beautiful," she gasped. He smiled, but there was sadness behind it. "You deserve it." She hugged him tightly. He hugged back. That night, Darius sat on the porch with his dad. The stars were bright. The air was still. "I thought the truth would feel better," Darius said. "It's never just about the truth," Malcolm replied. "It's about fighting to make sure it's seen." Darius nodded. He understood now. Justice wasn't guaranteed, but he'd keep fighting for it anyway.